Good evening, everybody. My name is Luisa Wójtowicz-Waga, and I would like to welcome all of you to our next webinar by EduNation Global. Today, we have a very special guest, a guest that has not yet appeared in EduNation Global's webinars. In EduNation webinars, yes, but EduNation Global's not. So in a moment, I will welcome Paulina Dolenga with us. I can see that she is with us, but I cannot see anybody saying hello, anybody saying good to see you, girls. So if you could please just welcome us and say that you can see everything, that everything is visible in the chat. I will be more than happy to see you guys. Paulina is with us. Paulina, good to see you.
Hello.
Let me tell you a couple of words about Paulina. Paulina has been an English teacher for how many years, Paulina?
I will have been teaching for 10 years this year, actually.
10 years, so quite a long time. And she has been a teacher trainer and for quite a while right now. And she has been an author of very, very, very good educational materials, exercises, activities, and so on. So, Paulina, wonderful to have you with us here with in EduNation Global. What will you be talking about?
Happy to be here. Today I'll talk about pictograms, so simple images and how to use them in my lessons, because these are one of my favorite things to use in the classroom. So yeah, I'm really excited.
All right, wonderful. So I am leaving you with Paulina. I will hide, but of course I am here all the time, taking care of, all the details, organizational details in our kitchen, let's call it. And I will be back with you when Paulina slowly draws to an end to tell you something super exciting about something, but I'm not going to tell you what, because it is going to be, I'm not going to reveal all my cards at the very beginning of the webinar. So Paulina, I'm going. And let me just quickly show your slides, and I'm off.
Perfect. So thank you, Luisa. I know you can hear me. Thank you for your really kind introduction. So good evening, everybody. My name is Paulina Dolenga, and as Luisa has just said, I've been this year I will have been teaching English for a decade, actually. I've worked with with students of all ages so far, but lately I've been working mostly with teenagers and adults. What is more, I'm a teacher trainer. I have my profile on Instagram, on Facebook, called The Language, Paulina Dolenga, where I share my tips. I also run my own educational company, and I create my own teaching aids, teaching materials, and ebooks with ideas.
I had to show my face for a moment. I'm sorry, Paulina, but I have one important thing to say. Those of you who don't see our chat, please click on the YouTube icon and it will transfer you directly to YouTube, where you will be able to chat like crazy. So if you don't see the chat because it is hidden somewhere, click on somewhere here or here. I don't know where exactly, but you see an YouTube icon. So click on it, please, and you will be able to participate and write in the chat. And now I am really going. I'm sorry.
Right. So I'd be really grateful if you guys do that. I'll be really grateful if you do it, because I'll have some questions. I'll definitely have some questions, and it will be super nice to see you. I can see some familiar faces. Lovely to see you guys. Hi Anya, hi Monika, hi Karinka. Right. Right, can I change my presentation? All right, I can. Okay, so hi Ivana, lovely to see you. All right, I'm really happy to be here with you guys, and so once again, English teacher, teacher trainer, author of materials, and first and foremost, I really like what I love doing is making your lives as your teachers' lives much easier with some ideas for my lessons, and I like making my own life easier, of course. And today I'll talk to you. I'll tell you something about pictograms. Some say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but I believe that for a language teacher, it's worth much more than that. So pictograms. What are pictograms? As you can see in the picture, these are these very simple images, usually black and white. And usually black and white. And what I love about them is that they're so versatile. So you can use them to practice any skill, any language, at any level. Plus, they have a huge zero prep potential. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a huge fan of all kinds of activities that require zero or very little preparation. And the longer I teach, the more I actually use all of these low prep activities. Let me know if you guys also like zero prep activities in your lessons. And if we have some pictograms at hand, we can certainly use them with little or no preparation. Of course, Education Global, of course, who doesn't love zero prep activities? Moreover, these pictograms, these simple images, allow us to prepare some student-centered lessons. So I am a huge fan of lessons that are based on our students' potential. So it means that I really like creating the need for my students, this kind of need to discover some new vocabularies, to learn some new words, and to get to know their meanings. And I want this desire for knowledge to come from my students. So that's why I use pictograms. And as I said before, they can be used to teach any language, any skill at any level, basically. So today I'll share some ideas. Actually, I'll share 10 ideas on how I usually use pictograms in my lessons. But first, maybe a few words about sources. So where do I actually find these pictograms that I would use later on? Of course, the first main source of pictograms for me is this game. It's called Gra na emocjach, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's one of the best things that I own, that I use for teaching. And it consists of, there's over 100 cards. Each of them has like a tiny symbol on it. So, there's nothing written apart from these icons. There's nothing written. This is why these icons are perfect. As far as I know, sadly it's available only in Poland. But if you don't have access to our Polish educational resources, this game, by the way, it's actually was not created for language teachers, but it can be used by them. But if you don't have access to these, I will definitely share some more sources. As you can see on the screen, there are some story cubes that I also like using in my teaching. While teaching, it's just a part of my huge collection. You can find them in various places and so on. And they also might be really useful during your language classes. But if you teach online, there's a few places that there's a few places where you can find some nice simple images. For example, there's this generator of story cubes, story dice. It's completely free, and if you can't click on the link, but if you Google it, you'll definitely find it. As you can see, you can choose between 5 or 9 dice with simple images. Ivona is asking whether the webinar was going to be recorded. Yes, of course, you'll have access to the recording. So if you miss on any of the links or ideas, or you just want to watch it again, hopefully, then you'll definitely have the chance to do it. All right, so that's one website that you guys can use. I also like these story dice, and these are a bit simpler, and I'd say they might be more suitable for young learners, or maybe just more elementary or lower level students who are at lower levels. So yeah. And last but not least, there's one more. There's an application as well that you can find if you're into story cubes, or you've forgotten your pictograms and you desperately want to use one of these low prep ideas. Then there's an application. It's actually an actual screenshot from my phone. Application's name is Story Dice. You can download it for free, and I usually ask my students to download the application, so that every single person in my classroom has their own set of dice. There's probably plenty of various applications like that, so I'm sure that you will find something suitable. And also there's this website with plenty of icons here, and this is how I create my own personalized sets of pictograms. The website used to be free. I'm not sure whether it is now, but it's definitely worth checking out if you like to have your materials and teaching aid customized. Right, and I also use these pictograms that are used in can be found in Canva, because most of the materials that I use during my lessons were created in that program. So we know why we should love them. We know where to find them. And finally, let's move on to ideas. Let's move on to all of these things that you can do with them. Oh, Kinga, hello. All right. Sure. Yeah. Well, moving on to the ideas now. So first one is an icebreaker. Things about you. This is what I called it, and if you guys know me, and some of you definitely do, then you know that I'm crazy about icebreakers. I believe that integration is absolutely vital in our classroom, that a group that in which students know each other well, a group in which students can cooperate, is much better for the teacher. It's more manageable, and in general, I take great care at the beginning of the school year to integrate my groups really well. And during the school year, I don't forget about it. But, after you have taught for a while, then you kind of feel the need to spice things up in your own classroom. And this is one of these maybe icebreakers that are non-standard ones. So that we have a set of icons, we have a set of pictograms of your choice. These ones are from Canva. and there are two ways on how to play this game, or how to conduct this particular exercise. So first is that students would choose 3 random pictures, 3 random icons, and then say something about themselves that is connected to these pictures. So it might be quite creative. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is when a student can actually choose 3 pictures. We give them like a set of them, or a story dice, and the student chooses 3 images themselves, and later they can ask other students to guess what they want to say about themselves. And this is my first task to you, because this exercise that you can see on the screen is actually a mix of the two. Because first I chose quite random pictures, and then I thought, why don't I come up with some interesting facts about me? So if you guys could just please make some assumptions about me on the basis of these 3 images, or at least one. Make some assumption. I'll tell you whether you're right or not. All right. I love traveling. That's a good guess, Kinga. Thank you. I do love it. I do miss it as well. Right. I can't wait to get on the plane. You can't play the guitar. Actually, I wish I could, but unfortunately I can't. I wish I could, but yeah, I've never learned that. You were a scout. No, actually, the penknife is connected to something else. I'll give you a few. Right, you love wine. Of course I do. How did you know that? All right, because there's this corkscrew. Traveling to Switzerland. Wish I could. One day, maybe. Yeah, actually, the penknife is here by accident. But then I thought that actually I come because I live in Poland. I live in Poland. Oh, you guys know me so well. I live in Poland. I live in a city that is called Kielce, and people who live in Kielce are called scyzoryki, which is Polish for penknife. So I thought that would be one for forest trips. No. As far away from the forest as I can be. But look how yeah. Yeah, that's true. Scyzoryki is the name for people who live in Kielce. I checked it. Why is that so? But I have no idea. Well, these origins of the phrase are debatable. That's what I could say. All right, lovely. So as you can see, everyone's involved. There's a lot of guessing. There's a lot of laughing. Students get integrated. And as you can see, you guys have produced loads and loads of wonderful language. So thank you for that. Right. So that's one example. Let's move on to another zero prep activity, which is called Ask Me Anything. And I love conversation. I love questions. I love speaking, of course. Where do you find these nice pictures? These come from, all of them. All of these pictures in the presentation come from Canva. I use this Canva Pro, but you can just find them. I just randomly found them in Canva. All right, Ask Me Anything is my next idea for a low prep, or zero prep, I should say, activity. And this one will be conversational. I don't know about your students, but my students definitely struggle with questions, asking questions. Maybe it's because it's usually the teacher who asks questions, or maybe it's because question formation in English can be a difficult task for some. I don't know. Anyway, this activity will allow our students to create their own questions. So we draw a picture. It might be just one picture for the entire group. So let's say it's the first one. And then I ask my students, could you please make a question that is connected to this particular picture? What do you like eating with Karinka by your side? Of course, it's pashtet. All right. So if you guys could think, actually, I'm really curious. What would you guys? What kind of question comes to your mind when you see the first image? What question? Like conversation question. Have you ever driven? Oh, a convertible. All right. Okay. I'm sure that you guys will have some ideas. Perfect. So you can see that there's one image and there's plenty of possibilities. I don't know, how often do you eat out? What's your favorite food? Very basic, right? And if you could eat just one thing until the end of your life, what would it be and why? Or what kind of food do you dislike? How often do you go to restaurants? All of these questions that I have randomly come up with are connected to this one image, one simple image. This is why this exercise is widely generative. If we teach slightly lower levels, then we can introduce some question prompts. I mean, like beginnings of question. We can board them and ask students to come up with questions that start with, I don't know, have you ever, do you usually, where did you, when was the last time you, and so on. And then students would make questions about these pictures. And of course, step number 2 is students asking each other these questions. Yes, do you enjoy cooking? What's your favorite food? What's your dream car? What should we eat? Excellent, you guys are extremely creative, but you probably already know that. Yeah. Important information from Louisa. If you guys don't see the chat, please click anywhere on the video. Then you will be moved to YouTube, and then you will be able to chat with me. So if you feel like chatting with me, please come. All right. So as you can see, one simple image, and it generates plenty of language, plenty of questions, and all of them come from our students. So the teacher monitors, the teacher goes around the classroom, makes sure that all the questions are correct, the teacher corrects the mistakes if necessary, and students just talk. They ask each other questions, and I can assure you guys that they will be way more excited to ask these questions that they have written than the questions that you would write for them, because they would be proud and willing to share their own work, their own ideas with others. So that's idea number 2. Grammar ideas. Let's move on to them. And with grammar ideas, there's so many possibilities. So I will discuss only a few with you. The first one is connected with modal verbs. And for example, a few weeks ago, I discussed modals of obligations, modals and semi-modals of obligation with my students, and we had to come up with some rules. So then we chose a place. Let's say we chose school, and students drew random pictures, and they had to make a rule on what people must, what people mustn't, what people don't have to do at school, and so on. And of course, Of course, we can play this game, or we can have this activity in various ways. One idea was that each group, I divided my group into pairs, and each pair had a different place. Let's say one pair had the school, there was a desert, there was a plane, which you cannot do at the airport, and so on and so forth. So then students would come up with ideas, and they would actively use the language that we had just learned. And so that they could activate their knowledge. Next up, conditionals. I love conditionals. I love teaching conditionals. And of course, we might want to use pictograms with conditionals as well. So then we might choose for our students to practice, I don't know, let's say first conditional, draw two pictures, second conditional, draw another two, and they make sentences connected to that. It really boosts our students' creativity. They get involved, and it's nothing other than basically creative drilling, because what they actually practice during this exercise is the correct form. But if there are some pictures involved, they get more engaged, and they use their knowledge actively, in an active way. So that's another idea. Tenses, obviously, if we want to drill tenses, it's something I called, as I said, creative drilling. So if you drill tenses, then you can ask students to draw some random pictures, and then make sentences with these. And it's why I like this exercise. I haven't said that yet. I can't believe it. I've been live for over 27 minutes, and I haven't said anything about retrieval practice. Retrieval practice is this kind of technique of recalling information while not having this information in front of you. So then a student just draws a random picture, and their task is to make a sentence with it, but they cannot see the way the sentence works just yet. So that they have to recall this information by themselves, and use this knowledge that they had acquired before. Such a generative task will definitely make it easier for your students to perfect any grammatical structure. And I think it's my last grammar idea, but it might also be my favorite grammar idea. So fortune telling, to practice a future simple, draw 3 random cards and tell me what will happen to me next week, next month, next year. So this exercise is always plenty of fun, and I usually let students tell my fortune. So yeah, I've heard things in the past, but I love this exercise. Students get crazily engaged. They keep telling each other's fortune, and then of course, thanks to the pictograms, they will remember that future simple is the tense you use while you want to predict somebody else's future, or yours as well. Okay, how are you today? How are you guys today? I haven't even asked you. How are you today? Do you ever ask your students this question? Because I always ask my students how they are today. There are 2 questions. Well, basically, there are 3 questions that I would always ask them. First one being, how are you? And the other 2 is like, from Monday to Wednesday, I ask, how was your weekend? And Thursday, Friday, what are your plans for the weekend? So basically, this is what I ask, and my students like it. It builds a rapport and so on. They anticipate these questions, but after a while, it gets a bit boring. This is when I. This is why. Um, this is why I came up with this idea. All right, at that, I always start my lessons with "How are you today?" Perfect. I do that. I do that too. High five. So yeah, I love it. So, how was your weekend? This activity will work with students who are a tad bored with whatever, with saying the same things over and over again, or maybe they might be a bit secretive, or there's something has happened, they don't really want something happened over the weekend and they don't want to share it. That's why I ask them to draw 3 random pictures and come up with a story on what they did during the weekend. The story might be true, it doesn't have to be, but I treat it as a sort of creative warm-up, because I pay great attention to exchange at least a few words with each of my students during every lesson. So this is why at the beginning of every lesson I ask them a few small talk questions, so that I can make sure that everyone said something. Everybody said something during my lesson, at least a few words. All right. Excuses. I'm sure that your students come up with some really creative excuses. Mine have definitely perfected this skill. Some of them are masters of excuses, and especially when I ask them why they don't have their homework, or why they were late, and so on. So I've decided to make something creative out of it and use it to my advantage. So I invented or I started using this exercise, which is a creative, which is excuses. So this one problem or this one reason to give an excuse that I choose, it might be, for example, I didn't do my homework, or I was late for work, or I didn't submit the paper on time. This one I hear a lot. And then students have to draw one random picture and come up with an excuse for not having done whatever should have been done. So I draw, for example, here I have a pair of scissors, so I can say, I'm sorry, I didn't do my homework because I had to go to the hairdressers, and so on. So yeah, especially if you're a bit disappointed with your students, that would work perfectly because that would maybe make the atmosphere a bit better. But definitely it will boost our students' creativity. Later on, we can vote which was and choose, the best excuse, the most believable excuse, or the least believable one, the most hilarious one, whatever you guys like. But I would use that activity as a warm-up. I would use it as a filler. I would use it as an energizer. I would use it if my students haven't done their homework and they don't want to tell me why. So there's plenty of occasions when you can use this particular activity, and it's usually loads of fun. And then you can see how generative it is, because if a student draws a picture of a first aid kit, like here, I think it's a first aid kit. It can be a car battery. That's why it's so cool, because you can't really tell for sure what's there in the picture. Right, Tatiana, I wish I knew this exercise earlier. There was a student of mine who liked excuses a lot. Lovely. So I hope that all of your students will be just, conscientious enough not to give too many excuses. But for those who struggle with whatever assignments you give them, then that would be a good idea to, that this exercise can be incorporated with them. So loads of fun, generative exercise. Again, students feel the need to come up with some new language items, and they feel the need to check new words in dictionary. And I myself, teacher, I don't have to do anything. I just watch them. I just watch them grow. I just watch them come up with some new ideas. Right. Once upon a time, stories, of course. Nothing new, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, because this is why most of these icons, story cubes, and many others, this is why these things were invented, to come up with a story. So then, of course, students build a story. It's excellent for narrative tenses. It's lovely if students run out of ideas on what to write about, which is quite a common problem, especially among teenagers. I would say that some teenagers often say that, I don't know, I'm not going to write this email or whatever, because I don't have any ideas. And then you would draw some pictures, and then you would get some ideas, obviously. Or you can use this activity, or you can use these simple images to spice up the regular writing. Let's say there are students who are getting ready for a certificate examination or any other exam, really, and then they have to write an essay or an article or an email or a formal letter or whatever they're supposed to write. Then you can say that, okay, to make it more interesting, then please draw like 3 or 4 random pictures, and I need you to kind of sort of incorporate them in your story. So that this is how we can use stories with students of all levels, really. Right. As I say, this one's quite obvious, because that's actually why the story cubes were made. Gossip is another exercise that I remember thanks to Anya and Karina during a conference like 2 weeks ago, and they started talking about. They didn't start gossiping, of course, but they started talking about gossip, using gossip during our classes. So I thought, that's I have to use this idea in my webinar today. So I have to talk about gossip. So it's a nice speaking exercise. It can be also a writing activity. Depends on how much time you have. It will be perfect with when you have some sort of unexpected lesson to teach, like you have to substitute for somebody and you haven't had enough time to get ready for the lesson, or you don't know the group. This activity will basically work with any group, almost any level, I would say. So how can we do it? How can we use gossip in our lesson? Let's say each our group is divided into smaller groups, like let's say groups of 3 or 4 people, and then each of them draws a set of pictures, and such as these, right? And they have to come up with a story. Preferably, the story should be about somebody they know. I usually let them make a story about me. Because first of all, I love being in the center of attention. Second of all, because I don't mind students talking about me, and some other students might. but it might be anyone, might be a famous person as well. So they come up with a story based on these images, and together in a group, they create one story. They can create it one by one. And make up one gossip, something about me, let's say, and later they mingle and they tell each other's, like one group, a student from one group to a student of a different group. They talk to each other and they tell each other's the gossip. And then they might use the pictures, they might not. Depends on you. You will probably see now whether your students actually need the prompts while telling, or it will definitely be more difficult if they don't have the pictures on them. And then they mingle once again, and the second person, let's say, tells the same story to the third person, let's say. And in the end, the fourth person of each group, of course, because they mingle all the time, has to tell the full gossip to the group. First of all, the students would understand the way gossips work, so that it's not always nice to talk about somebody behind their back. Second of all, they will practice all sorts of skills: speaking, listening, or reading and writing, if we decide to create this to have this activity in a written form, because that's also possible. But there's going to be lots of fun, lots of laughing. This activity, if you want to do it in a different way, then you can ask some students to leave the room, and then come back after a while, and then they will have to listen to the friends telling them the gossip. Anyway, this activity will always be quite fun. Number 8, the inspiration comes from Jimmy Fallon. I don't know if you know the talk show of Jimmy Fallon. But there was a very similar activity that he used with his guests, and this one will be perfect to use with your students. Sure, Education Global knows Jimmy Fallon, obviously. I like his shows, and they're cool to use in your lessons. But there's lots of inspirations. Love him, lovely. There's lots of inspirations in these, American talk shows for us teachers. At least I have found plenty. So again, it might be a warm-up, it might be a filler, it might be a nice exercise while practicing speaking on a different topic. Students work in pairs. They talk to each other. We can agree on a topic, or it can be just like a chit chat, small talk at the beginning of the lesson. Material girls, of course, you love talk shows, you love films, everything that's on the screen, you love it. Okay, so then I'm having a chit chat with my friend, and but before I do, I draw one picture, I draw one image, and then I keep it a secret. So it's my secret image. And while talking, I cannot use the word that's here, and I have to make you say something that is connected to the image that I'm holding. And the other person is doing the same thing, and we can agree that the person who says the word first is the winner, or we play until, or we talk until the other person until both of us say each other's words. So I have, like a banknote. It might be $1, it might be money. So I would try to make a conversation with you in such a way that you say a word that is associated with money. Of course, students might argue that if something like, if somebody says bank and I say, okay, I win, then they can have an argument, of course, in English, in my case, because I teach English. So they would say that, no, you're not right. Bank is not, close enough. So it will definitely be a fun exercise at the end of the lesson, or at the beginning of a lesson, or as a conversational class, just like that. Endless speaking ideas, and here possibilities are indeed endless, and thanks to icons you can come up with impromptu activities that you can incorporate in your regular classes or use in conversation classes. That I have taught conversation classes for years, and usually I've had the same people over and over and over again, so that's why I had to come up with different ideas. What can you do with icons? You have you can see that there are a few images here. So first idea, problem and solution. So I draw a card, and I have to come up with a problem connected with that. So for example, I drew a heart, so I can say I'm heartbroken, or I'm in love with somebody who doesn't love me, right? So that's one option for problems. And then my friends, my classmates would give me some advice, and then I would probably give them some prompts on how to make it, how to give advice, like, I don't know, why don't you should, you ought to, it's a good idea, if I were you, and so on. I would write it on the board, these prompts, obviously, and then students would talk to each other and give each other tips. Or, funnily enough, their tips or their tips have to be connected to the pictures they draw. So someone might say there's a shopping cart, so you should go on a shopping spree and have some retail therapy until you forget about this vicious man, or something like that. Right? Okay, another activity, wish me well. So students have to come up with some wishes connected to the pictures they have. It's perfect if you want it for Teachers' Day, it's perfect for Women's Day, Mother's Day, birthday. If there's somebody celebrating birthday, then we can say, all right, now you can have now you have to make a wish, make a wish, but your wish has to be connected with the picture. I don't know. So there's a cactus. So I don't know. You go to a desert, or maybe you'll achieve some goal because there's this mountain with like a flagpole. So yeah, that would be nice. To a desert island, I would take the same activity. Then you would take something connected with the picture and then explain on how to use it. And later, groups can have a discussion on what's most important, what is the most important thing, what is the least important thing, and so on. Pay me a compliment. This one is absolutely lovely. So that you draw pictures. Students work in pairs. You draw a picture, and then you have to pay a compliment to the other person using some prompt in the picture. So if you guys have a while, have a moment, and if you feel like paying me a compliment, dropping something connected to these pictures, I will be super happy, because I love compliments. So it's a nice, feel good exercise. If students are a bit tired, if they're not energetic. I like your glasses. Thank you so much. Oh, I feel better already. You see, it's working. It's really working. So then students feel a bit sad, or feel a bit down, or a bit blue. Then such an activity will definitely make them feel much better. And if they have to, of course, they are allowed to say only nice things about each other. All right. Okay, Kate B. Oh, lovely to see so many, well, familiar. I wish there were faces, but familiar nicks. All right. So pay me a compliment, that's another one. And organizing a party. Let's say we are organizing a party when we teach our lessons about food. That's a good idea. And then we have to get these items or things connected to these items. Maybe plan some attractions. There's mountains, so maybe a trip to the mountains would be, or the party would take place at the mountaintop. Again, endless possibilities, and your students will definitely surprise you with their creativity. You'll be astonished, and your students will have plenty of fun, and they will generate lots of language. And one more idea that I have for you, connected with something absolutely brilliant. Do you guys know a man called George? Let's say it's George Horn. All right. If you don't know George, all right. So let me tell you something about George. George, in 2013, George and his friend went together to Vietnam, and in Vietnam, they spoke English, both of them. I think George comes from Germany. Oh, nobody knows George. That's lovely. So they went together to Vietnam, but they had a problem. They rented a pair of motorbikes, and obviously, as you can imagine, the motorbikes broke in the middle of nowhere. So George and his friend had a problem, but of course they spoke English, so they thought they could talk to the local people and solve the problem. Unfortunately, none of the people in Vietnam, none of the people they met could speak English at that time, or any other language, French, nothing. So George and his friend, in order to fix their bikes, their motorbikes, they could communicate only using pictures. And this is when the idea appeared. Traveler's T-shirt. It's a T-shirt. It's a T-shirt with a set of icons. There are 40 icons that are quite handy when you travel, so that you don't have to draw. You don't have to look it up on your phone. It was 2013. Also, it's like it was. Maybe before the internet was and smartphones were so popular, but as you can see, there's a picture. There's a T-shirt with different icons connected to different traveling things, and or traveling problems, possible problems or possibilities, and you can use it to communicate with somebody else. The picture, the photograph that you can see comes from their website, iconspeak.world. Of course, the idea went absolutely viral. There's even a nice TED talk by George Horn where he talks about this particular idea. It's not very long. I think it's like 9 minutes, so you can familiarize your students with a story before you use the T-shirt. But idea is simple and it's definitely genius. So if you are planning a lesson about holidays, you probably are, because summer's coming. So then this idea might come in handy. So I usually send my students the link with a picture to the website where they can see a T-shirt, and there's a list of exercises that I would use with that. for example, they might point pictures in the t-shirt and ask each other, what would you do if, I don't know, if your motorbike broke down in the middle of nowhere and you were in Vietnam and you couldn't speak, nobody could speak English, what would you do? You can make a list of questions. Students can make a list of questions that they would ask that are connected to these pictures, and then actually ask a question. There's a brilliant idea for a role play where one student might be, this kind of stranger from other country, let's say, who cannot speak. For example, I have a sore throat, I cannot speak. So then I'm showing you symbols on my t-shirt, and you have to guess what my problem is. And then there's another role. There's another that's they swap places, and the other student has a sore throat, they can't speak, and then the other one has to explain it by asking questions, like to mime everything. Holiday problems and solutions students come up with possible holiday problems and their solutions to them according to these icons on the t-shirt. Have you ever, of course, as an icebreaker, as an introduction, and I don't know, imagine that somebody from somebody from abroad, or even an alien is coming to your hometown. What would you recommend them to see? So as you can see, actually, we have talked. Well, I have talked, and you have helped. We've been talking about pictograms for a long time, and it's one of the most versatile tools. So I cordially encourage you to use pictograms in your lessons. Of course, you don't need to. I wouldn't recommend using all of these ideas at once in just one lesson, but I'm sure that if you have them somewhere in your pocket, if you save a link to some story dice idea, then you will definitely have a chance to spice your lesson up, boost your students' creativity, engage them, and first of all, and most importantly, I should say, have fun with your students. If you like me, then I'll be happy. I'll be super happy if you come to my website. If you come visit my website, there's my Facebook account and Instagram. This is where I share my. This is where I share my ideas. Most of it is in Polish, but if there are so many of you from other countries, I might consider, launching an English version as well, especially for you guys. It's my website as well. And if you want to ask me a question or simply, get in touch with me, then this is my email address. So feel free to drop me a few lines if you have a question, if you need to have a chat, then of course. Okay. Thank you.
I hid your, I'm sorry, here it is for all of you. Paulina, what an amazing webinar with fantastic ideas, with just one tool, with just one resource. So thank you very much, because what you showed us is the essence of what I want, what I want to talk about.
Yes.
Paulina showed you a session with just one resource, which in this case were pictograms. And what we have prepared for you, starting from the 16th of May, is a full course called Teach&Play. Let me show you. Hold on. This is it. This is the beautiful key visual of our course. And the Teach&Play is an online course for English teachers, in which you will have 16 sessions And each of these sessions are devoted to a different tool, a different resource. So I will be super happy to first of all show you the course, and then I will have information for you. So bear with me. Now, just give me a second, and I will. Here we go. So as you see, there will be Paulina with us again, and I'm sure that you already know that the quality of the session will be fantastic. Paulina will be showing you a session on Teach and Play post-it notes this time. I will be talking about chalk and board. We will have sessions on lyrics, on cartoons and animations, on drawing, on fingers. If you can imagine what a fantastic session is going to be, how to teach using just your fingers. Ania Popławska will be doing flashcards. Ania Wieczorek, books and easy readers. We will have sessions on vocabulary boxes, on real stuff, so realia. We will have sessions on correction fluid, on authentic texts, on moving it, on blank sheets, and lots of other resources and tools that, well, I haven't showed you yet, but we are planning more. Now, if you are interested in this course, please take a look at edunation.global/teach-and-play. But now listen, we have prepared a special promo code for you. The promo code is Easter. And if you go on this webpage, hold on, let me show you. If you go on the webpage that I showed you a second ago, so the here the Edunation Global /teach-and-play, and you register today with the promo code Easter. Either if you want to register in Polish and pay in Polish PLN or in euro, the ticket will drop by 10%. So seems that it's only obviously to those of you who are with us today during the live webinar. So once again, edunation.global /teach-and-play promo code Easter. The pre-sale of this course finishes next week, Tuesday. So don't wait forever with the registration, because the price goes up on Tuesday. Paulina, thank you very much again for staying for being here with us today, for presenting these wonderful ideas. They were super practical, and they only show the quality of this wonderful course that we will be presenting to you as of the 16th of May. Paulina, will there be more than 10 ideas with post-it notes in your session?
I should hope so. I hope it's fewer than 100, because that's at least how many I can come up with. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to participating in this course, to sharing my ideas, because post-it notes are one of my favorites, and I'm sure that you will find loads and loads of practical, low prep or zero prep ideas on how to teach creatively.
I'm really looking forward to this session, because post-it notes is actually one of my favorite teaching tools. So I am really dying to be inspired again.
Right. I hope I'll live up to your expectations then.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. So, okay, all of you, edunation.global /teach-and-play. And remember that today, for those of you who are with us live, there is promo code Easter. Works both with the Polish registration and the euro, the registration in euros. So don't wait. Register today. Thank you very much. I hope to see Paulina. I hope to see you very, very soon in our webinars, and I'm sure that everyone here as well. And I'm waiting to see all of you people in our wonderful, wonderful course. So thank you very, very much again. Good night, and Paulina, happy Easter.
And happy Easter to you, and happy Easter to everybody present here. It was a massive pleasure. I can't wait to get to come here again. So
Well, you are already invited, so I will talk to you a bit later about it, but please expect
all right,
invitation.
lovely.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Happy Easter to all of you, and until next time, take care. Good night.